So I found a tray, and here I am with some acrylic ink, and I'm just adding it to my water. I've not ever done this technique before. It's kind of inspired from another video that I've linked down below, and would like for feedback if anybody has tried something like this. I have just regular copy paper here, and I thought, oh, I soaked it in the water, added some ink. This pretty much dissolved, but I'm going to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. The other lesson I learned is, boy, I just squeezed the heck out of it. Rather than just gently crumpling the paper, I just really squeezed it, you know, the living daylights out of it. So this piece of paper actually just disintegrated, and I gave up on it after a while. So here I am, I'm adding some more acrylic ink, Payne's Gray, my favorite color. And I have this 80-pound, it's uncoated paper, it's drawing paper, and I had gotten it for my origami jewelry, because you can paint on the paper and it's acid free. So I thought maybe we'll try a little heavier stock than the copier paper. I didn't submerge it fully. I tried to add just a little bit of ink to it and start to crumple it. But again, I just squeezed it too hard. I was squeezing all the water out of it, and it wasn't really, you know, doing it for me. I wasn't getting any variation, so I just added more ink, thinking, well, maybe if I add just a little bit more and make it a little bit darker, that would help. All in all, I think I had too much water to ink ratio. Mix it all in, and right now I just really have a gray mess, and it is what it is. The paper itself is holding up pretty good. It does end up with some holes, but I do think I got it way too wet. I squeezed it way too hard. I probably should have gone half the strength of squeezing. I think the whole idea is to kind of keep some of that ink in there so that it dries in all of the crumpled areas of the paper. So I'm just really just squeezing way too hard. As you can see, I got a couple holes in it when I pulled that out. And now you put it between some newspaper to try and get the excess water off. Set it aside so it can dry. Now I'm trying it again with a little bit of a darker, but not as wet. I took the paper, just slightly dipped it in, and didn't squeeze it quite as hard, trying to maintain some of the ink in the crumpled areas, if you can see what I mean. I just gently kneaded, as you should with Momigami. It's not something that you just squeeze the heck out of. You just neatly and easily knead the paper. So that's where I'm headed. I'm starting to get a little bit of design and a little bit of the crumpled highlights, which I really like. But once again, I squeezed the paper just way too hard. Now I'm going to try something on watercolor paper. I thought, well, if the water has made everything else just too wet, let's try it with the watercolor paper. So it was a little bit larger than my container, but that's okay because when you do Momigami, the paper does shrink down. So this was a manhandle, man. It was that 140-pound watercolor. So it did turn out pretty cool, though. I didn't squeeze it as hard. I kneaded it gently, and I allowed some of the ink to get in there and stay. I didn't just squeeze all the water and ink out of the paper. I allowed the crumples to be highlighted. I didn't totally immerse the watercolor paper in the water, but obviously watercolor paper really handles the water much better than the other two pieces of paper that I was working with. Now you can see how the crumpled paper is highlighted. All of the nooks and crannies and crumpledness of it is really, really pretty. I'm opening it up very gently because I had a tendency to just rip it apart and got holes in it. But now you can see the paper is starting to shrink a little bit. It fits much better in my container. I'm starting to get some highlights of all the crumples, and the paper is holding up really well. I'm not squeezing nearly as hard. The kneading is much more gentle. I'm just going back and forth in my hands, opening it up a little bit easier, and looking at the pattern. It's really organic, and I really like it. I like how the watercolor paper came out, and now we're looking at the drawing paper, the 80-pound drawing paper, and it's not bad. It's not bad. It withheld the water and the severe kneading that I did on it. It didn't turn out too bad, so I'm going to set everything aside. This is the copier paper. Yuck, didn't look good. Now I've cleaned all the water out, and now I'm going to experiment with some liquid watercolor and see what I get with the drawing paper. It's the 80-pound uncoated drawing paper. I'll put a link to it in the video if you're interested in something like that. It's very versatile and something that can withstand some water, but you can also paint on it and then make some origami jewelry out of it because it holds the crisp folds very well. So I've taken my paper. It's 9 by 12, and I cut it in half. And it doesn't quite fit, but it'll fit eventually. So again, not totally submerging the whole paper and holding it there. And I'm rolling the ends in on a true Momigami technique. And I'm doing it much more gentle. Just rolling it in and crushing and crumbling and just gently kneading, opening it up again. And then my table's uneven, so I had to straighten out and make the ink a little more even, laying the paper back into my container, and just gently kneading it, not totally crushing it, as I did with some of the other ones. And this is not dripping wet either. It does just have a little bit of ink, a little bit of water, and it's allowing to highlight the crumples that you can see. Making sure all the areas are fully saturated and wet. There will be a couple dry spots, and it turned out to be something I liked. But the darker veins of the crumples are what I really like. And then they kind of splinter out, almost like trees. It's a really organic looking design, and you just don't know what you're going to get. So I have some cool ideas of what I think I'm going to do with this new technique when it all dries thoroughly. I'm really thinking about somehow mixing this with my air dry clay and making a pendant or a necklace or even some earrings with it. Again, you can do this for art journals. You can do books out of it. But mine are kind of small right now, and they're also a little, some of them have a couple holes in it because I was so aggressive. So here we are at the last stage. I'm now adding just a little bit of another color of liquid watercolor to see what happens. Basically, this whole video is all experimentation. I had never done this before. Saw the video that I linked below and was really inspired by what they had done. I really loved the look of what they had done and accomplished, and found out that it's a little harder than I thought it would be. But again, I didn't use the Sumi ink or the heavy ink that they had. I kind of used what I had on hand, and that's what's fun, just experimenting. See what you get. I liked the color combination of this and just getting the crumples again, not aggressively. Momigami kind of technique. So there you have it. These are my attempts at a new Momigami technique where you actually do the kneading with ink. I hope you'll try it, and if you do come up with new ideas, I sure hope you share them. Thanks so much for watching. Okay, my papers have dried, and what I thought would remain fabric-like did not. It's a little bit, but it's still kind of more paper than it is fabric. So based on that, I'm going to experiment and see about taking Momigami further and adding some lotion and then gently kneading to see if we can keep the overall design and ink look while making it more fabric-like. So let's give it a shot. So I ended up adding a little bit of metallic, trying to highlight the high points of my ink Momigami paper. This is computer paper. So I just added a little bit to the high points. And then I also made an earring out of this paper, and this would be an origami earring that I made. So let's see what happens when we take it one step further. I'm going to go ahead and work with this highlighted piece of paper. This is just regular copy paper, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a little bit of the lotion Aveeno just to see what happens when we do a further step of Momigami on this. So I just put a little bit on my hands, and I'm just gently kneading the paper rolling it in, and I can feel that it wasn't far off from a fabric-like feel. It's already feeling pretty soft with very little kneading necessary. And let's see, how does it hold up to, oh, it's not bad. The holes got a little bit bigger, but overall, it's nice. I like it. It maintained my high points. So, okay, this one seemed to work pretty cool. This is the back side. Looks pretty cool. This will rip, I'm sure. No, it didn't. It's working pretty darn good. So let's see about doing another one that's a little bit more difficult. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and try this one. I really like this one, so I'm hoping it doesn't get ruined, but we're gonna go ahead and try, because see, if you hear, it's kind of tough. And this one is a lot less, and I used the lotion on it. So we're gonna go from this and hopefully to a gentler, softer paper. So we're gonna go ahead and try to take this one a little step further without ruining our overall ink design that we got yesterday. So this is the morning after. I came back to revisit, and this is the watercolor paper that I used. So we're gonna see what happens to the overall design and feel of the watercolor paper as we take and do Momigami on this paper with some lotion. I just got into it, and I can feel it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to start softening up a little bit. It ripped a little, but not bad. Let's see. Okay, it's starting to get a little softer. Let's just keep kneading, gently kneading. Previously in the video, when I first started this process, I got obsessed with wringing the water out, forgetting that I needed to gently knead rather than squeeze and wring out the water. Okay, this is getting nice. This is getting nice. Okay, let's see what happens here. Okay. I do see some of the paper fibers that are breaking free, so the paper is getting softer. And I'm not ripping it open. I'm just taking it nice and slow. Okay, yeah, this is a lot softer. A lot nicer. A lot more like a true Momigami. So in a sense, you're creating your design with just a different technique, with a Momigami type crumpling of paper with ink, letting that dry. It has become somewhat supple, but still paper-like. And then you take and do the lotion, the Momigami lotion technique, and you get more of an end result of Momigamis. Oh, this is exciting. I'm going to keep experimenting and seeing what I can make with this. Okay, I like it. I like it a lot. Now we have the fabric with the beautiful ink appearance. A very organic appearance. So this is watercolor. This is where it was. This is where it is. And this is a lot deeper. Well, they're very similar. So this isn't too far off. It just needs to become a little more supple. So all in all, fun experiment. Wanted to give you an update as to what I found out. Again, I made this earring out of the pre-Momigami lotion. So I can't wait to experiment further. I hope you too will give this a try and let me know how it works. Thanks again. Bye.